We went to the coast thinking it would fix something. That already tells you how desperate I was. My husband's parents have this old house by the ocean, white walls, salt-stained windows. The kind of place that smells like sunscreen, wine, and history that doesn't include you. They've never accepted me, not openly, nothing dramatic. Just a slow, quiet rejection that settles into everything. They hug you last. They forget your coffee order. They talk about family memories like your furniture in the room. This trip was framed as a reset, family time, bonding, healing. It was his parents, his sister, her husband, his brother, and me. 5 days, one house, no hotel, no car of my own. Just the ocean and a long driveway. From the first night, I felt it, that subtle shift. Like the house itself was correcting a mistake. At dinner, conversations slid right past me. Inside jokes from childhood, stories I'd heard before but was never part of. I laughed when I was supposed to, smiled when someone glanced my way. Played the role I've always played. My husband barely noticed. He was relaxed in a way he never is at home, loose, comfortable, like he'd stepped back into a version of himself that didn't include me. The first odd thing was how much time he started spending with his brother-in-law. At first it was harmless. They sat next to each other at dinner. They volunteered to clean up together. They stayed up late drinking when everyone else went to bed. I told myself it was normal. Men bond. Families have dynamics outsiders don't understand. But something about it made my skin prickle. They laughed too hard. They talked too quietly. Their conversations stopped when I walked into the room. By the second day, it was constant. Beach walks, long showers taken back to back, quick errands that took hours. My husband stopped reaching for me, stopped sitting next to me, stopped asking if I wanted to come. I felt ridiculous noticing, felt petty counting minutes. That night, I asked him if something was wrong. Not accusing, just careful. He sighed, that tired, irritated sigh I know too well. He said I was overthinking, said I was being insecure, said I should just try to enjoy myself. That word stayed with me, insecure, like a flaw, like a diagnosis. The house felt different after that, smaller, like walls were listening. On the third night, I woke up alone. The bed was cold. The room was quiet except for the ocean pushing against the shore. I checked the bathroom, empty. I checked the patio, dark. Then I noticed the light under the door down the hall. His brother-in-law's room. I stood there longer than I want to admit. Heart racing, mind running in circles. I told myself not to knock, told myself I was imagining things. Eventually, the door opened. My husband stepped out. He didn't look startled, didn't look guilty. Just surprised to see me awake. He said he couldn't sleep. Said they were just talking. I nodded. Because what else do you do in a house where everyone already knows their place? The next morning, breakfast was cheerful. Too cheerful. Coffee poured, weather discussed, plans made. His sister smiled at her husband like always. His mother asked me if I slept well. No one mentioned the night before. I started to feel like I was losing my grip on reality. Like something important was happening just out of reach. By the fourth day, it wasn't subtle anymore. They were inseparable. They shared headphones. They whispered. They brushed past each other constantly. I watched his sister notice, then look away. That scared me more than anything. That afternoon, I finally understood something. This wasn't new. It was just finally visible. And whatever was forming between them. It wasn't going to leave room for me. I tried to distract myself after that. Went down to the beach alone, let the cold water numb my feet. I watched families nearby, kids running. Couples arguing quietly, normal problems. I kept thinking maybe I was projecting, maybe I was the problem. Maybe this was what it felt like to never fully belong. But every time I looked back at the house, I felt it again. That certainty that something had already shifted. Dinner that night dragged, the sun set. The table filled with wine glasses and familiar laughter. My husband barely looked at me. His attention never strayed far from his brother-in-law. I noticed how his parents watched them, not disapproving, not surprised. Almost curious. That's when it hit me. This wasn't tension building. This was anticipation. I barely slept after that. The house was quiet, too quiet, that hollow early morning stillness that makes every thought louder. I padded into the kitchen, cold tile, bare feet. The ocean was gray outside. My husband wasn't in bed. That was becoming normal. Neither was his brother-in-law. I stood there holding my mug, staring at nothing, when I heard voices, low, muffled, coming from the back hallway. I froze. They weren't laughing this time. They weren't whispering either, just quiet enough to feel intentional. I told myself not to move, told myself this was how people lose their minds. Then I walked anyway. Every step felt loud. Like the house was watching. Like it was daring me to keep going. The door was half closed. The one room at the end of the hall, the one no one used during the day. I didn't knock. I pushed the door open. They jumped, both of them, like kids caught doing something stupid. My husband was pulling his shirt down, too fast, too practiced. His brother-in-law was fumbling with his belt. Hands shaking, buckles clicking too loudly. For a second, no one spoke. That second stretched. Long enough for my brain to catch up, long enough for my body to react. I felt dizzy, hot, like the floor tilted under me. I didn't see anything explicit. Nothing undeniable, but I didn't need to. Their faces said enough. I asked what was going on. My voice sounded wrong, too calm. Like it belonged to someone else. They both talked at once. My husband said I was misunderstanding. Said they were just changing. Said I was barging in. His brother-in-law laughed, that nervous, brittle laugh people use when they're cornered. Said I had a wild imagination. I looked at them, really looked. Their eyes wouldn't meet mine. Their movements were stiff, disconnected. I said it didn't look innocent. I said it didn't feel innocent. My husband snapped then, not angry, annoyed. He said I was doing it again, reading into things. Making everyone uncomfortable. That word again, everyone, like I was the problem. Like my presence was the disruption. I waited for someone to admit something, anything. No one did. They brushed past me, both of them, shoulders tight. Avoiding eye contact, I stood alone in the room. Heart pounding, hands numb, I checked the bed. The sheets were rumpled, warm. That shouldn't have mattered. But it did. The rest of the day blurred. His sister acted normal, too normal, chatty, relaxed. She asked what I wanted to do later, suggested a family dinner. Suggested a walk on the beach. I watched her closely. Waiting for a crack, a hint, nothing. My husband avoided me, not completely. Just enough to make it obvious. When I tried to talk, he deflected. Changed the subject, left the room. By evening, I felt hollow. Like I was floating a few inches outside myself. I kept replaying the moment, the belts, the startled looks. The denial. I didn't have proof, nothing I could point to. Nothing I could say without sounding unhinged, and that terrified me. Because I knew what I saw, and I also knew. No one was ever going to back me up. That realization settled slowly. Not like panic, more like exhaustion. I started noticing smaller things after that, details I might have ignored before. My mother-in-law touching my husband's arm when she spoke to him, lingering, reassuring. My father-in-law asking his brother-in-law questions. Not casual, probing, like he was checking how things were progressing. I caught my husband watching me once. Just for a second, his expression unreadable. When our eyes met, he looked away, not guilty, resolved. That hurt more than anger would have. I took a long shower that night. Let the water run too hot. Stayed until my skin felt raw. I tried to rehearse conversations in my head, what I would say, how I would say it. Every version ended the same way, me explaining, them denying. Me apologizing for being upset. I hated myself for that. Later, lying in bed, I listened to the house again. The ocean, the pipes, footsteps I couldn't place. I realized something else then. Even if I never caught them again, even if nothing more happened, something had already broken, and everyone else in that house seemed perfectly fine with it. The last night was the worst. Something about it felt scheduled. Like everyone knew where they were supposed to be. Except me, dinner was earlier than usual. More wine than usual, too much laughter. His sister kept refilling my glass. Smiling too hard, telling me to relax. His mother asked about work. Questions she'd never cared about before. His father suggested I take a walk after dinner. Said the sunset was beautiful that time of year. They were all looking at me, not opally, but together. I realized then they were stalling me. I went anyway, because staying felt worse. The beach was empty, wine sharp, sky bruised purple and orange. I walked until my legs ached, until my thoughts slowed. Until I almost convinced myself I was wrong. When I came back, the house was quiet. Lights dimmed to calm. I went straight to our room, empty. I didn't call his name this time. I didn't check the kitchen. I followed the feeling instead. The door at the end of the hall was closed, fully closed. I didn't hesitate. I opened it. They were on the bed, not tangled, not frantic. Intentional, my husband froze. His brother-in-law didn't. He just looked at me. I saw enough, skin, hands, the way my husband moved away too late. There was no confusion this time, no plausible explanation. I said his name once. He didn't answer. His sister appeared behind me. I hadn't heard her approach. She put a hand on my shoulder, not gentle, not cruel. Steady, she said we should talk. My mother-in-law was there too, standing in the doorway. Expression calm, almost relieved. My father-in-law hovered behind her, silent, watchful. My husband finally spoke, said this wasn't how I was supposed to find out. That sentence broke something in me. I asked how long. No one answered directly. His brother spoke instead, said it just happened. Said feelings are complicated. His sister nodded. Said she'd known for a while. Said it made sense. His mother said sometimes families evolve. Sometimes people find their truth later in life. She told me I was strong, that I'd be okay. That was when I understood. This wasn't betrayal to them. It was a correction. I looked at my husband, really looked. He wouldn't meet my eyes. I asked if he loved me. He hesitated just long enough. That was the answer. I left the room. No one stopped me. I packed while they talked quietly down the hall. Like this was logistics. Like I was already gone. When I walked out the front door, the ocean was loud, unapologetic. No one followed. I was shaking in that Uber on the way to the airport. Later, I realized something else. They hadn't been hiding it from me. They'd been waiting for me to see it, so I would leave on my own. This all happened 2 months ago, and I haven't heard from anyone since. We are still married. On paper, that won't be for much longer.